So Mrs. Midas's answer to the question, what does she know about gold? Well, she knows that it feeds no one. And basically what you've actually got with her explanation about what gold is and what she understands gold to be is this idea that it has very little value, which is quite different from King Midas's attitude towards gold, because when he was given the opportunity to make a wish, that's essentially what he wished for. So he clearly places a value on it. She doesn't. So we have this initial semicolon, which comes after it feeds no one. And the function of that semicolon is to introduce a complex list. So there are going to be a number of items in this list, and the writer, or the speaker if you like, thinks it's going to be quite difficult to follow. So they're using additional punctuation to help you understand the specific items in the list. So we have the list of qualities, the suggestion of metal, the idea that it's soft, the idea that it cannot be tarnished, marked, I suppose would be maybe another word. And then another feature which is quite different from those ones, hence why we get another semicolon to mark its introduction. It slakes no thirst. And this is the idea. So slakes no thirst means unable to satisfy a thirst. And obviously drinking is an essential aspect of life, and if we don't drink, we die. So again, this is the idea that it's unable to sustain life. It has not much value. And that's the important thing to recognise about Mrs. Midas's attitude towards gold. She doesn't think that it has the value that most people place on it. And when we say most people, we mean King Midas. We then go to the next point that she makes, which is again quite humorous. So he tried to light a cigarette. I gazed entranced as the blue flame played on its lustiest stem. At least, I said, you'll be able to give up smoking for good. So the idea here is that Mrs. Midas recognises one good thing about the wish that he's made. But that one good thing that she thinks is a good thing, he's not going to agree with, okay? So he thinks that his wish was a good idea. She doesn't. She thinks there's one thing about his wish that's a good idea, which is it means he has to stop smoking. He doesn't agree. So it's this continual disagreement that kind of creates the comedic tone, the comedic element to it. So what happens next? Well, we have this short sentence that tells us about the impact that this choice, this wish, has had on their relationship. So what's it done? It's destroyed intimacy. In fact, I put a chair against my door, near petrified. And again, the function of this sentence is to reinforce, this reinforces the point made in the short sentence. So if we look at petrified as a word choice, so connotations of petrified are terror, extreme fear, and the idea is the prospect of intimacy actually creates a threat to life. So they can't. It's not that they don't want to, it's not that they are choosing not to, it is that they simply can't. I think it's quite interesting that she puts the chair against my door, because again that would actually suggest that perhaps he lacks any kind of self-control and willpower, and therefore is likely to come a knocking on her door, even though the consequences would be extreme. He doesn't think about consequence. And the evidence for that is the wish that he wished for proves he doesn't think about consequence. So he was below, so he's in a different room, turning the spare room into the tomb of Tutankhamun. We have a metaphor, but we also have alliteration on chip. So the key aspect that's been picked up on here is the gold. And again, it reflects the impact of his wish. It's with him everywhere he goes, all of the time, because it's impossible to make your way through life without touching things. And then Mrs. Midas goes back to explain why there's this kind of lack of trust about him wanting to attempt to be intimate with her. Because she explains in terms of their relationship that they had been passionate and they had been happy. I'd actually look at this in terms of word choice. So they had a good relationship. Yes, he's stupid. Yes, he's an idiot. But clearly, there's been a point in their, quite a significant point in their lives, where they have been happy together. And then we look at Halcyon as word choice. And both of these together give us an insight into their relationship prior to him making the wish, obviously. So, just as we have in the opening stanza, we have this idea of domestic bliss, just coming back to that again to say, their relationship was good, they were happy together, and they had a happy home together. So, just because he's behaved like a prat and he's made a wrong decision and he's been stupid and made a stupid decision, doesn't change what they had previously. So while we can be condemnatory, while we can be very critical of King Midas, clearly he's had a good relationship with Mrs. Midas as part of that sort of backstory. Then we have the semicolon here, which introduces the evidence for the point that she makes. And that evidence in itself actually comes in the form of a metaphor. So just take it to presence, the simile where the undressing of each other is being compared to the unwrapping of gifts. The similarity comes in the emotion that's experienced by both of those actions. And how does one feel on Christmas morning when one is unwrapping one's gifts? Excited? Yes. Okay. And that's the emotion that you need to pick up on. It's about excitement and anticipation. And then in terms of your analysis, those are the features you need to pick up on. And then the same idea is captured in the word choice here. You could actually treat this as a second simile because you've got two, I suppose she's giving you choices or different comparisons for the simile. It's like presents, it's like fast food. So you could analyse this in terms of a simile, because it is a simile, but equally, just because that's quite complicated that you've got two similes together, you can look at it in terms of word choice. And I think here fast food is more about this kind of anticipation. There's almost a kind of suggestion of need or desperation. Okay, because fast food is food that is cooked, prepared and available to you very quickly, hence the name, fast food. So this is the idea about quick pace. And that quick pace is again, it's about suggesting their anticipation, their need or desperation for each other. But now I feared his honeyed embrace. Of course, a metaphor here. And it's the impact of his touch that is being compared to something that is honeyed. And the similarity is in the colour. Okay? Because obviously honey is gold, and if he touches her, she too would turn to gold. So again, it's the golden aspect that's being emphasised here. The kiss that would turn my lips to a work of art. Finishing on another metaphor. Okay, the comparison here, when she's saying the work of art, I think she's specifically referencing a particular type of art, which is this idea of sculpture. The similarity is the substance that both would be made of, potentially gold, but certainly inanimate. Inanimate meaning non-living, and that's the point. That she too, like a sculpture or any other piece of art, would not be living.